In my hours of free time being an IB student, I came upon an article on a scientific journal database by the University of Tokyo where they have created a prototype for a holographic device that creates holographic clones. These clones are touch sensitive and interactive, meaning you can actually feel them, and all thanks to ultrasonic radiation pressure. At first, I was starstruck. This article appealed to me because of my personal interest in scientific and technological improvement, as well as my interest in sci-fi TV and movies. I mean, who doesn't want to live in a place where Star Wars holograms are real? However, soon after my days, I started to wonder on the questions this article raised. I mean, how ethical is this? What are the ethical implications? How does the ability to feel make the hologram seem more realistic? How is it that illusions can affect our senses? I mean, can they do that to the extent of overriding reason and memory? How is it that technology can influence our sense of bodily ownership? How do we know our body is really ours? I mean, for most of us, we have this shared knowledge that we can see our hand. We can tell it to make a fist, and it does. We can hear it, and we can feel it. We know this by sense perception. And all of this to ultimately arrive to my knowledge question. To what extent can we use scientific methodology to understand knowledge deriving from sense perception? So let's define some terms. Scientific methodology is not the same as scientific method. Scientific methodology refers to the use of applied science in both the human and the natural sciences, while the scientific method is a body of techniques for investigating phenomena, acquiring new knowledge, or correlating and integrating previous knowledge. Understanding is to know, the knowledge and ability to judge a situation by applying known concepts. And sense perception is the perception of external stimuli by the use of faculties of sight, smell, hearing, taste, and touch. Keeping this in mind, we can talk about the knowledge issue, which is, in what ways is technology impacting the way we perceive ourselves and the world? Which brings us to my first claim. Through scientific technology, senses can be stimulated to trick the mind and our knowledge despite reason and memory. Technology is so advanced that not only can we make holographical clones, but we can actually make virtual reality with our phones. I'm referencing to my personal knowledge of my extended essay, where I took 16 subjects and exposed them to a lower limb illusionary effect. The experiment was much like the rubber hand illusion. In a nutshell, the subjects were laid on a mat wearing the virtual reality headset. The view of their legs was obstructed by a fabric dividing the subject's body in half. For 2 minutes, the subjects were exposed to physical touches on their legs, that of which matched what they were viewing on the virtual reality headset, thus allowing for a connection to the virtual limbs. After 2 minutes, a stressor was introduced, and results showed that 14 out of the 16 subjects felt a reaction to the stressor, although the subjects had the memory that those were not their legs, and by reason could determine that the legs were actually not theirs. The illusion of what they saw and felt via sense perception was enough to override their reason and memory by reacting to the stressor as if their virtual legs were their own. However, I realize that another perspective can be taken from this claim by someone with a different culture, skepticism, life experience, age, and gender than myself. For example, a counterclaim could be that scientific technology cannot stimulate the senses enough in order to trick the mind because of intuition, memory, and reason. In fact, the 2 unsuccessful trials from the extended essay claimed that out of intuition, they just knew that those were not their legs. They further supported the claims by indicating that they knew that their real legs were behind the curtain unharmed because by reason, the legs in the virtual reality did not match their own. In conclusion, through the same ways of knowing, sense perception, reason, intuition, and memory, in both the claim and counterclaim, subjects arrived at different knowledge standpoints with regards to the successfulness of the illusion. However, data shows that for a vast majority of the subjects, technology and stimuli of the senses can, for the most, override previous knowledge despite reason and memory. This is because different people will have different experiences and thus different knowledge. And this word choice and results account for that. I do acknowledge that my conclusion could be perceived as biased, but then again, I can only account for my own experiences and opinions. However, I also note that there are other opinions from other people and that they are no better or no worse than mine. Now, looking at another real life situation, it can be this article on the invention of a bionic eye that allowed a man who had lost his vision to see again. This shows an application of my initial knowledge claim, where advancements in technology are not only tricking the senses, but replacing them entirely. And the knowledge question could now perhaps be regarded through an ethical point of view, raising questions such as what is the limit between robot and human? So, with regards to how we know, scientific methodologies can be used to a moderate extent when understanding the knowledge from sense perception. And hopefully, as technologies keep advancing further and further, we'll have a better understanding on how we know. And in the meanwhile, I'll still be waiting for my hoverboard.